Imagine some intro music here.
Anime Unbox. Da-da, brought to you by Kellogg's. Just kidding. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's been a minute, Chris.
Yeah, it sure has. I don't even remember the last time we recorded.
I know the last time I think it was before Anime NYC, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was a
then,
while ago.
Yeah, and there were weddings, there were things, there were travel. There was a lot.
There was
and
life.
Sai's still.
Life going on.
Yeah, there was life. And Sai's still missing.
Yep, he's
Isekai'd
missing.
in another world. So just us. But, we're holding it down. We've got some things. Things have been going on. It's 2025, new year, new everything.
New year, new anime.
New anime, yes. We're in the spring season right now. A lot just finished up. I don't know if you watched anything from the winter that just passed.
No, unfortunately, what I've been watching has been, of course, Castlevania, because I finished Nocturne, but I never watched the original series, so I've been watching that. And then I watched...
You didn't watch the first ones? You just jumped into Nocturne?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like a huge miss right there.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really... I don't have to watch Castlevania in order to understand what's happening in Nocturne. Sure, there's a couple references, but it's so far apart, I guess, timeline-wise, that you could just pick up.
No, it's like a couple decades in between them.
But both really cool. I think I have one more episode left of Castlevania, but
nice.
I've also been catching up on Shangri-La Frontier because I never finished that.
Yeah, season 3 I think is coming out in the summer, or it might actually be out this spring. We'll look through it. I've just started my spring watch, but we'll get into that some later bits. But yeah, I didn't watch much this past, what was it, winter, except for Solo Leveling.
Yeah.
And I think Sakamoto Days.
Yeah,
that was on.
I watched a little bit of that too.
Sakamoto Days was it's okay. I was expecting a little bit of different animation style, but it's okay. It's okay so far.
I enjoyed the animation style.
No?
Yeah, I think it's fine. But I didn't finish the first season, so I think I only watched 3 episodes of it.
Yeah, I think I have 2 episodes left of the season. I only watch it when I'm on the Peloton, so it gives me something to watch. It's buried in there. But yeah, let's get into what's been going on. Put a little PowerPoint together to keep us on track since it's been a minute.
PowerPoint.
Yeah. It's not anything too fancy, but if I can find it, here it is. There we go. There we are.
Wow, look at that.
Yep, our little anime
Boxo.
Box-chan.
Box-chan.
Yep. All right, but let's get into it. Whoops. Let's get into it. So some news.
Anime news. So what's going on? What's the headlines?
What's the headlines? I mean, not anything too crazy this week. Just a lot of shows coming back. Season 2 of Dan to Dan dropped a new trailer. That's coming back for the summer. New updates from some Gundam series. Some info about season 3 of Solo Leveling. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too interesting that you probably haven't seen on the socials. But I know that one thing that caught my eye in particular, this was a couple months ago, so that we're late to the news, but the craziness of the ever-growing AI sphere. Our great Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli has been torrented by the AI ever-growing machine. Yep, AI army.
Yeah.
And the nightmare grows every more. I know that, like, it's been memeified. I saw everywhere the last couple of months, just every meme, everything just being turned into it. And, you know, it's pretty crazy. I know he's gone on record multiple times stating that, you know, AI is an insult to life itself. And it's even crazy too that it seems like they definitely didn't get any licensing for any of these things.
No.
And it's just there, and there's nothing to be done about it. You know, I love AI. We've used it before in like tweaking our emails because I'm personally a horrible writer with my words and just need some tweaking. But getting into the whole art and like deep fakes and just video stuff is like, it's pretty scary and pretty disappointing.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Like, I use AI for work to help with writing, to check spelling errors, or if I could shorten it, whatever. But when I start to dabble in AI art, I start to feel icky in a way, because like the art is being generated on existing art already. So of course the Studio Ghibli stuff and any other kind of style that you ask the AI to generate, I'm sure there's an artist out there who has that style. So I don't know. It's very weird. It's a weird place in terms of AI.
It's weird, and it's just so much like they're doing it with the thought of, you know, act first and pray for forgiveness later, but forgiveness isn't coming in.
No, especially for like big IPs like Studio Ghibli and all their like that style. It is almost like an insult, because obviously you can tell this is not Miyazaki's art. This is it's similar and it takes a lot of inspiration from it, but it's just not it. And I have a really big issue with the lack of no repercussion around it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, like there's literally been a whole case I know going back and forth of just like, how did they train all this without their getting licensing and everything for it? And, you know, OpenAI had no comment on it. And it's crazy. Big tech getting away with it. But
yeah, it's a very strange time, but hopefully in the next couple months or year or so, there will be more guidelines toward AI generated art. Hopefully.
It is. You know, from this, like Crunchyroll, not that I really thought too much about it, but they put out a statement saying that they won't be using any AI in the production of their series, even though they only put out like a series once in a blue moon.
Isn't there a fully AI generated anime?
There is. There was for some, I forget which platform or whatever AI tool it was. There's like 1 million a day, but they put out like a full 20-minute like anime produced with their AI video tool. But yeah, I know they announced they're not going to use any of their productions, but we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Use of it. Yeah, I know Netflix has gone pretty big into using it to match up, at least for like live action things that are dubbed, match up the mouths in different languages to make them feel more natural, which I feel like is kind of, I can kind of get behind that.
Yeah.
Of just like, you know, to get the viewership and like, cause some people, they can't stand watching that like uncanny valley of like listening to somebody else who's lining up with it. But we're still in this weird gray area of what and who. And I mean, for all we know, in a year or two from now, we could be watching only AI generated stuff.
And that feels scary.
Yes, it is.
It almost feels dystopian in a way.
It is. But luckily, this isn't a tech podcast, and we're here to, you know, share our thoughts on anime. which we haven't in a while. And I've thought, what better news to kind of, brainstorm anime thoughts on is with some Netflix announcements. I don't know if you saw, Chris, but Netflix made some announcements in a new live action that they're adapting.
Let me guess.
Yeah. I think it's one you've definitely mentioned you've read before. I don't know if you watched it. No.
Oh, that would be cool.
No, it's not Vagabond. If you can guess it all, it's called
Kakaguri.
Yes.
I've never read this.
Kakaguri. Yeah. I swear you said you did, but no, yeah. Kakaguri by Homura Kagawatamoto and Tura Nomurua. This is going to be a new live action of it. Netflix has the debuting next month, but it blew up online because this isn't the first time this has been turned into a live action.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen a live action of it before.
Yes,
with the same name, not Bed, but Kakaguri.
No, yeah, there was a Japanese stage adaptation that they did back in 2018, 2019. I have the note of it somewhere on here, but yes, they already did it, but Netflix even has it for streaming on there. But this is getting some interest online for the stills of it. If these are some images courtesy of Netflix, and they put out for a little preview of these. But if you recognize any of the characters, I know you haven't watched it.
Well, that's Yumiko Jabambi on the left, of course.
Yeah.
The main character.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else, I have no idea. Like, okay, that in the top right must be the council, the student council, or the president in the middle. I remember the eye patch girl.
No.
But that's about it. Like I said, I never really read it. I watched a couple episodes here and there.
It's a pretty big one, but I'll play the trailer for you so you can get a nice big idea of it. Whoops. There we go. It's got to load. Let's go into it. I'm clicking the wrong screen here.
I thought the days of buffering was over.
Yeah, I just got a lot of windows up. There we go.
And I've been bad.
Can you turn it down a little bit?
But some.
So that was my first time watching this too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the full story is of Kakaguri. So I'm curious if what we saw in the trailer, like her going to the school to see who murdered her parents or something, if that's what is in the anime, I'm not sure. And it looks like the production's really good. I personally don't think I'd watch it.
Yeah, I know a lot of it. A lot of people are having issue with what the styling approach is for it compared to the Japanese counterpart that came out back in 2018 based on it, which actually they used the same name in it. I don't know like what the thought process behind this was. Like, I know it's a hugely popular manga and anime, but like just to take it again and redo it in what kind of feels like a CW style series, which I'm all for. Like I loved Riverdale. I love a good CW show. But this is weird when you already have another live action that came out in 2018 and a movie that followed up of it in 2019. And then you have just like the character designs that have been very odd. If I can pull some up for it.
Yumiko's character design is not bad. She kind of looks like the anime counterpart, but a lot of the other characters have some similarities, like the blue lipstick on the one character. I know that is in the anime, the eye patch, but all the other little things for each character is just, I don't know, it feels out of place. Like if you're going to make changes, change everything. Like kind of go original with it.
there's this image on Reddit this I was looking for that I found. Let me share that for us. Here it is. Somebody put up the side by side of the characters.
Yeah.
You can see it there.
Yep.
So we've got
Yumiko.
our characters side by side.
Black.
There.
Sorry. They just changed his race,
Hey.
which is fine.
You said it, not me.
It's totally fine. It's just like the only one.
I'm assuming this takes place like in an English
right
setting, which it seems very like Britishy. But yeah, I mean, just looking at like the eye patch compared to that's kind of similar.
I don't like her character design in this new live action.
I don't know how crazy it's going to be, her personality wise. Also, to here, like mask, they changed the hair color, and then they're just like, we'll just give it a COVID mask.
You a COVID.
Yeah. And then here, like, this is the blue lipstick one you were talking about.
Yep.
Like, they nailed it in the Japanese, and then they were like, no ponytails, no I get wanting to like make something English to get that fan base and the money, but like why? Like, because clearly from what we saw this and how it's filmed, it's like toning it down isn't really seem like it's going to happen if you're trying to make it more relatable for people. So why not just go all in on the anime like magic of it and like all the show stops, which like the Japanese live actions never have any issue of doing.
Right.
And then this character, which I've seen, I don't remember her name, but it looks like they spot on. And then we got a guy with a fuzzy
weird dog
hat.
ears. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I almost want to say like, so it is in a different, I'm assuming a different location. This is not in Japan. It can't be. And I think
I guess
that
like brought
is a
it
huge
more
driver as to why there's so many changes. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably not going to watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm
going to give it a
shot.
I'm going to give it a shot. I've not watched the whole series, so I'll probably check it out beforehand so I have a better comparison to it. I mean, I really liked what they did with One Piece live action. I enjoyed that. But it's so weird to see, like, especially too when they already have a live action that they're streaming on there. They didn't produce it, I get, but like if you've ever watched Alice in Borderlands, which Netflix produced and has on there, and it's on its 4th or 5th season now, which I was really surprised. That series, even from a non-anime approach, I even had people at work like asking me if I've ever watched Alice in Borderland, and I was surprised. Like, they hear some of my coworkers that I would never imagine watching anime, watching that show, and them not having to do like a whole complete reblanketing of like the series, and like that one's nails everything really good, and it's absurd and everything, and they still watch it and enjoy it. So like, I get character selection, fine, whatever, but when you like start tweaking with like, you can't make them wear a full mask, you can't make them have the same hair color, like
it's almost like they wanted this new live action to have a more realistic tone to it, but Kakaguri is nowhere near realistic at all. And I feel like if you do that, you're going to lose out on some of the tropes and themes that come with the show.
I think that's something like that. It always makes or breaks a series. Like, look at when they did the Death Note live action. Like,
oh my gosh,
if you can't just commit like to like, anime is absurd and crazy, like at the end of the day of it, and if you can't just dive into that and figure out a way to make that stuff work and not just change it altogether, like,
so the one issue I have with live action adaptations, especially if you're going off manga or anime, like, these are storyboards, literally. Just follow it. And then that's what people want to see. I want to see a live action adaptation of the story, not something new. It's frustrating sometimes. So
I know. Like, yeah. And it's crazy. It's crazy how like each of these studios, whether it be Netflix or Disney or Universal or something, like how they just go about remaking things. Like, yeah, you literally, like you said, it's a storyboard. Follow the storyboard. But do you get too many creative minds, or you get the like the director effect of like, yeah, I've never done it, but I really have a new image that I'm really want people to experience and see.
Almost kind of like the most recent live action Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like,
no.
For the most part, it seems they are following the story, but they made their own creative decisions to change the timeline a little bit. So sometimes I can get behind that, but I have to see the rest.
Sometimes it works.
Really get it.
Sometimes it fails. I don't. After this, maybe I'll I'll do some research, and then when this comes out, I'll do a full review on it of like who the director was, maybe what's kind of some of the thought process behind it was. But like, I mean, just look at I guess like, I feel like the new standard, even though it hasn't come out, is How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like it's going to be a shot for shot remake.
Right.
But they chose good characters. They chose a bunch of people of like different colors and nationalities for it. But at the heart of it, they know what people are coming to see is that I want to see this with real people exactly how it was before. And even watching the trailer, I was like, wow, they're literally word for word, almost scene for scene, redoing this and doing it so well. I really think that's going to just be a box office smash. And it should be like you said, you already have what it is. You can add things and maybe some subtract things, but when you like change things all together, it just, who are you really making this for?
Exactly. It seems like a lot of the time live actions are made for the paycheck, but there was recently,
or maybe a write-off.
That's true.
If it's like Warner Brothers, it's a write-off. Purposely make it bad.
The most recent best live action, which I think is true to the source material, probably can't get any better. The Minecraft movie. I'm just kidding. I did enjoy it though. I think that was a good live action.
Well, that was also too like, that was kind of something that was like, it didn't really have.
There's no story to go off of, so you could do really anything with it.
Yeah, there is a series with Patton Oswalt that they did, but yeah, it's still not. Minecraft just has such a endless openness of like how you can interpret it,
just like the game.
From the player's approach, from the characters inside the movie, and they've now done both ways, and they have now a new animation coming out too for it. But yeah, we'll see how it is. I know it's very curious. I haven't watched it before, but I'm curious where it'll go.
Right.
And pull back up my PowerPoint too. Fuck. Yeah, I'm very curious how some of the wording will change on it. But next up, which I didn't even know they had done second season, but in the ever-growing world of Webtoon adaptations, we've got Weak Hero Class 2, which is season 2. I don't know if you've read Weak Hero.
No.
But I've read a little bit of it. It's another classroom scene kind of fighting, if you've ever seen like
Viral Hit.
Viral Hit, yeah, kind of, but a little more serious, even though Viral Hit gets way serious down the line. But yeah, season 2 of it, which I have the trailer right here.
In season 1, is there a scene where a group of kids, like I guess athletes, baseball players, come in and then pick on one kid and he basically wrecks all of them?
There might be. I haven't watched season 1 because I didn't even know it got adapted. This was just kind of like under the radar, which was a little bit of a surprise, but I'll like play it in here. Maybe that'll.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of this, but it looks cool. I feel like the choreography in the fights would be pretty good too, from what I've seen.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. I mean, like, Webtoons are just growing in popularity and the growth of it and adaptations. I feel like there's so many, and maybe it's just because they don't, even though I feel like they're practically K-dramas, and I know my mom is always like flipping through the K-drama. There was one, I forget which one, I definitely saw her watching. I was like, oh, that's definitely a webtoon that I saw the other day. But yeah, I was surprised I never saw season 1's trailer when it dropped. But yeah, this is coming. Season 1 came out in 2022.
What?
But it looks good.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I wonder if, like, with the rise of webtoons being adapted, like you have Solo Leveling. What's the one? God of High School? Something like that. Tower of God.
That was like one of the first ones. Tower of God. And then the one with like the high school fighters that came after it.
Is that viral hit?
With like the Monkey King? No, it was like with the Monkey King. It came out right after Tower of God. If I pull up Crunchyroll, I can probably find it.
I'm not too sure what that is, but it's interesting to see that now there is a rise in popularity with webtoons being adapted and even turning into live action shows. And I wondered before, like, why
the God of High School.
Oh yeah, God of High School. That's
yeah, God of High School and Tower of God. So many God titlings, but yeah.
Like, what was the disconnect before? Was it marketing or just not a lot of recognition? But now, because it's becoming more and more popular, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more adaptations, whether it's animated or live action, come from a lot of other different places. Like, later on, we're going to be talking about some Chinese animation, which has been getting more and more popular thanks to, like, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram. You know, it's all over the place now. So I feel like that in itself is its own marketing for more exposure, and people already like anime, so why not invest more into other countries' animation or like IP ideas?
I think you're right on with that. With like social media is just like exposing in almost every category. Just look at like the tariff things and where people finally realizing all their premium goods are coming from. But like I feel like a lot of things that people just never thought about before is just are being shown to them and explored, and it's definitely cool because I remember seeing like every once in a while there would be a Chinese anime that would end up on Crunchyroll, and it'd be good, and you can definitely tell the style of it is different.
It is, yeah.
Stand out each one, which I'm happy about, because then like immediately you can kind of pick out and like do your own research on it, as opposed to like finding out like months later, oh, that was. But I'm happy each one has like its own distinct. But I have some additional thoughts on like why I think the more popularity of these have gone, but I'll save that for when we get into it, because we're sticking to
the agenda.
The agenda, till we get back our anime legs. But next up, let's talk about
awards.
Yes, the awards. The awards. I wish I had a sound for that. Maybe I'll put one in later. But
applause.
Yeah, I did my voting.
I was late to voting, so.
But let's take a look at what you could have chosen. But yeah, the awards are coming out on the 25th. That's when the award season's gonna occur. Judges, which I don't know why there are judges if this is all fan chosen.
Right. Well, they could just be like moderators, or I don't know. It is weird that they're calling them judges, so I'm curious what that will be like.
Yeah, maybe they're the ones who picked the selection, I'm guessing, but we've got a lot of writers, presenters, some people in the industry. No one I immediately noticed without going in. Some PR I see, a cosplayer.
Naruto.
Yeah.
He's a judge.
But yeah, and then apparently I guess some people that will be at the event this year.
Talent.
I'm guessing presenters. No one I immediately noticed there, but then
Finn.
these two guys.
Gatton and Finn. Stranger Things boys. They're both
And
really
we've
into
got-
anime, I've heard.
Yeah. And then we've got this guy right here. He's part of the that Trash Taste podcast.
Some
and
VTubers.
Iron Mouse as always. Yeah. I know she just had her cycle-a-thon where she cycled across, I think it was in Japan, to raise money for her charity. Yeah. It just ended. But yeah. Well, let's get into the categories, what the people will be tuning into.
Anime of the year.
Yeah. So obviously, Dan to Dan, Delicious and Trigger, Free Ren, which it's crazy to think some of these that we already watched are already come and gone. Like a lot of them feel like almost years ago, except for like Dan to Dan, Solo Leveling, and Apothecary Diaries. The only one I didn't watch,
I didn't watch that one
but
either.
I've heard so many good things about it,
Same.
and really big. But yeah, it was a hard pick for me in here.
Yeah, that's tough.
Of these ones.
For me, it's between Dan to Dan, Delicious and Dungeon, Free Ren. I almost don't want to say Solo Leveling because a lot of Solo Leveling for me is spectacle during the fight scenes. Like everything else outside of the fight scenes isn't like that interesting because it's like dialogue and I guess world building a little bit. I really only care about the fight scenes for Solo Leveling, but like Dan to Dan and Delicious and Dungeon and Free Ren, I was engaged all throughout every episode.
That's definitely the thought process I had behind it and why I ended up going with like for Anime of the Year, I went with Dan to Dan. I went last year with Free Ren, but I felt like there was just too little between, but I went with Dan to Dan for me this year. And there, but Solo Leveling, I was just like, there was too much, too little, like great, but just too little overall for me to deal with for it. Next up, Film of the Year. I didn't watch personally any of these because I didn't have time to watch.
You didn't watch Spy Family?
Films. I did, and that's why I picked it. Yeah, because it was the only one I watched. But there was the Haikyuu.
You almost said
movie
Yu Yu Hakusho.
Look Back. I feel like Look Back is gonna win.
I would have picked Look Back. I read it. It's so good.
Yeah, it's probably gonna win. I think it's on Amazon to watch, so maybe I'll watch it one of these nights. I never saw this one. But
that used to be on Netflix,
good.
I think, as a series. Yeah. Or was it a movie?
The My Hero last movie, You're Next. I mean,
I didn't watch it.
It was better. But yeah, Spy Family, I put that on. That was a good movie. I enjoyed it. And The Colors Within, didn't see it, so couldn't vote for it. But next up, Best Continuing Series. I don't know why this is out of order of what my screenshot was that they sent for me, but my vote.
I can't believe Demon Slayer is still going on, dude.
Yes, but it was Bleach, Demon Slayer, My Hero, One Piece, the Forever series, Oshinoku, and Spy Family. I forget what I picked.
I would either pick Oshinoko or Spy Family out of these.
I picked Oshinoko. Yeah, that's what I picked because it was just so... Season 2, I don't know if you ever got around to watching it.
No, not yet.
But it was so good. And I think there's a stage adaptation of it coming too.
Interesting.
For season 2 of it. But yeah, so good. The theme music too, so good. Best new series. I think I had to give this one to Delicious and Dungeon. I just really liked it, and I felt like Dan to Dan stopped right in the middle of a cliffhanger for me in a point that didn't feel complete. Like a complete stopping point for it to be a whole season. So I did Delicious and Dungeon.
Yeah. Delicious and Dungeon, I think, is really unique because it feels like your ordinary dungeon crawling anime, or almost like an isekai. Oh, now I'm reborn, and then I had to fight in a dungeon. But the fact that it has a lot to do with eating in a dungeon is so interesting, and like using the monsters as food. I really like that idea. Kaiju number 8's cool. Again, I think that is a lot of spectacle for me of the fight scenes.
Yeah. It also, too, I think I mentioned this before, like Kaiju number 8, I think also suffers from like pacing issues in every episode, right when that fucking beat drops and it like ends right in the middle of like a scene, which is why I think they're coming out with like a movie cut of this.
Interesting.
For people to see. And I think we're kind of also seeing, especially with what Demon Slayer is doing, like the whole last arc is going to be a movie for it. I think some series benefit more from being produced, especially something like this, which is a big visual production,
right? Would
probably do way better as like a movie series as opposed to a season of 13 episodes that like have to be cut and ended in weird spots. But I think that's what did it for me, was how often it just ended in the middle or right before something like good was about to happen.
I could totally understand that. But I, for some reason, do not like when arcs are turned into movies. I miss the days where anime movies were original storylines, whether canon or not. Because it's just more content for that IP. And now that you're just adapting an arc, it's like, well, you could have used that budget for something else, something new. But
that's
maybe
just in the movie it'll be even more, But yeah, and then Solo Leveling, I felt like it was weird because like this came out across 2 different years, the thing. So I was like, am I judging it based on like season 1 or season 2? So I just felt like I couldn't really give it original, and then I didn't watch Apothecary Diaries. So
my vote goes to Free Run for this one.
No. And then best original anime. So these are ones with no manga to support it, I believe.
Okay.
So it was Buchigiri. Which,
I did enjoy that a little bit.
Girl Band Cry. I haven't watched it. Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night. I almost voted for that one. Metallic Rouge. Ninja Kamui, which we watched, which I'm surprised is up here. But I guess there weren't that many original ones.
Yeah.
And then Train to the End of the World, which is what I personally voted for because I enjoyed watching it. I thought there was a lot of really cool just story elements in it of like this girl's trip to go save their friend and like how the world ended. It was just a good time, which is why I voted for it.
Remember when we watched it, and I remember watching a few more episodes, and I enjoyed it. I think it is a cool story.
Yeah.
I also really did enjoy watching Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. I think that was cool too. It had cool music.
Yeah.
I liked the animation in both of those shows, so I probably would have went with either Jellyfish or Train to the End of the World.
But yeah, then we got best animation in here, which this I gave to Frieren, just because like I went back and like really thought about like some of the dialogue scenes and some of the action scenes and just overall well-rounded. If you look at it together and the animation hands down was just so beautiful and so breathtaking.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what gave it to me over Dan to Dan. And then Delicious in Dungeon, like, which also had very beautiful scenes, but I think when you pair it together with everything as a complete package in animation, both in like
the animation needs to be consistent all the way through.
And Free Run really did that for me. So yeah, that's what won for me compared to everyone else. Solo Leveling and Kaiju. Good animations, but like in short bursts for those.
Right. Especially for like Demon Slayer, because a lot of the standout animation only happens in the fight scenes.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you're going to get it.
And then best character design. I thought this one had the character they were choosing on, but I think it's overall. Dan, Delicious and Dungeon. For this, I gave character design to Delicious and Dungeon just because the cast, each character is so unique and like so different, and like just a lot more effort goes into it.
Yeah,
I think
I
because
agree
they're
with that.
designing a bunch of different races and monsters and everything in there. So character design for me went to that because everything else was kind of, it's the same thing going on in there. Best director. I'm pretty sure I gave this to. I gave this the free run. I was just like the beauty and everything. I remember watching it was just like this is a fantasy movie that I couldn't put down. So that's what won it for me. I haven't watched Demon Slayer since like season 2. I heard One Piece fan letter was great, but I didn't watch it. Same thing with Apothecary. It was it's a short on Netflix. You should give it a shot. It's like a One Piece additional thing that's supposed to be like things he put together based on like what fans love about the series and like using the characters in the series to produce it. But yeah, I thought the best direction, like if we're talking about like how everything was shot together and blends, Free Run was it for me. Even though like when we went to go see Dan to Dan in theaters and seeing that director's like sketchbook, like that was pretty crazy. But since like Dan to Dan's in like a 2-part season thing right now, I still had to give it to Free Run.
Free Run is a full first season. It has a start, middle, and a climax ending. Exactly. It's kind of almost a cliffhanger, but it has a concrete ending. Like they finish whatever tests they were doing at the end, and then they like start to make their way towards their next journey. And that I feel like that's a perfect ending point for a season to pick up for the next season. So
exactly, that's literally like if you're making like a trilogy in movies, that's like how you end a movie. Like right on there, like you complete a chapter, you set up what's to come, and then you go from there where everything else is just like in the middle where we left Dan to Dan spoilers in the hot spring and what's his name house investigating that, or wherever we are in Demon Slayer for the and then I mean Delicious and Dungeon kind of ended in that, but it was just kind of, it didn't feel fulfilling at the end of where we left off for me. But yeah. And then best background art, again, I gave it to Free Run. I was just like, everything was so beautiful.
Well, it's interesting that Pluto is up there. I haven't watched it, but I do hear a lot of really good things about it, and this makes me want to see why Pluto is even there. Because it wasn't on any of the other categories.
Yes, I will say Pluto was very good. If we look at the definition of it, the category that celebrates exceptional skill and artistry needed to craft detail, atmospheric and breathtaking environments that serve as a backdrop for anime narratives. The backgrounds are crucial in setting the tone, mood, and settings of each series, enhancing the story experience with their visual depth, bringing anime to life. Nominees in this category are distinguished by their ability to create captivating worlds that resonate with viewers, making fictional realms of anime feel vivid and tangible of its real life. I could see that with Pluto. There are a lot of scenes set up for like the battles and fights that feel very like world shattering. So I could definitely see that. And definitely Delicious and Dungeon, like the world that they build there, like those are all solid ones. I get everything in here is solid, but I would have to go back and rewatch Pluto. There are a lot of like action scenes that like I feel like are really well done, but if we're talking about building a whole realm for me, that would be Free Run.
Yeah.
Like that felt like a world. Free Run or Delicious and Dungeon felt like a world.
I will say though, with Free Run, Yeah, it's original in its own right, but the setting of it is very familiar. Like it's a fantasy world, villages, castles, and albeit very breathtaking stuff. But I'm just, it's too familiar for me to like really have it stand out.
No.
I feel like just even without knowing what Pluto is about, I kind of want to just go with it because I feel like I've seen
it's
clips.
about Astro Boy, if you've ever watched Astro Boy.
I haven't. I did not know that, but I've seen clips of Pluto, and from what I have seen, I think looked pretty good in terms of background stuff.
It's so Pluto to sidestep, it's very deep and philosophical. Like the story of it, like Astro Boy and everything was written before, like, I think it was in like 90s. Somebody will probably correct me in the comments, but like it's one of the like first animes and everything. This guy like is attributed as like the godfather of anime. But the like story centers around like before, like it came up with like AI and artificial intelligence and like robots and stuff before like that stuff was really mainstream or anything like that. And it follows a lot of philosophical like things about like what artificial intelligence is and what it means to be like alive. It's very deep, very good. But yeah, it's a thought provoker.
And I like anime like that.
Yeah. All right. And then we got the best romance. And I can tell you that I knew what wasn't going to fucking win for me, which was This Sign of Affection. Hell no. And if you want to know why, you can go back and watch whatever season review that was in. I'll try and find the link and put it up somewhere in this video to that. But yeah, I fucking hated that series.
It was fine.
And then Blue Box, which I haven't read. This was a little tough for me. Too Many Losing Heroines was great. But it wasn't the reason why I didn't pick it. It was because I felt like there wasn't enough romance. It was, as the name implies, too many people failing at romance. So that's why I didn't pick it. But otherwise, would have been a winner if the one I picked hadn't been in here. Ranma 1.5. This is a remake of the original one that came out like in the 90s or 80s.
Yeah, it has that style, it seems like.
I love it. I think if Netflix is doing anything great, it's remaking these older animations, because this one and another one they're doing, which I can't remember what it is right now off the top of my head, but this is really great. I've always seen this one. I've never gone around to watching it just because it was too old of an animation style for me to like want to start it. But like after watching this, I went back to see like how well they're like following and everything, and they're doing everything exactly as needed to be like, okay, I don't feel as though I have to go back and like watch this, that they're going to be two different versions. It's going to be like like a Full Metal and a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood situation. But it's great. They're giving everything like updated graphics. And I'm really happy I started watching this because this is the type of romance story I like. It's a enemies to lover type of romance. And I'm super excited for the next season of it. But it didn't win because of the one I did pick again. And then I'm surprised Scott Pilgrim Takes Off is on here.
Yeah, that's
I didn't watch it. Did you?
No. I didn't watch anything Scott Pilgrim, like the movie, or never read it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't watched this. I watched the movie and stuff, but from what I heard in this, Scott Pilgrim isn't even in it, and it focuses like on the rest of the cast.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. But moving on, the one I picked obviously is Dangers in My Heart Season 2. I loved it. I thought like was a great, from going into season 1 to season 2, like these two people navigating their different social backgrounds and falling for each other, and just like the inner thoughts of each person was just great.
The only thing I liked about the show was the music. It was man, he's a composer that did music for Devilman Crybaby.
Oh, okay.
I forgot his name, but he has a very specific style of music that I really enjoy.
Well, if you remember it, send it to me. I'll put it in the comments, or I'll put it in somewhere in here. But yeah, I love Dangers in My Heart.
It's his name is Kensuke Ushio.
Okay. Well, yeah, Dangers in My Heart won my vote. I think it's great. Visually great. Well directed. But yeah. And got a couple more in here. Best comedy. We'll go through. I picked Konosuba. Season 3 was great. Really just brought it back for me. In hilariousness. It's definitely something you should check out. And then we got Mashal, My Dear Friend Nokota. I tried watching this. This is pure brain rot.
No.
Like just brain rot craziness. Like we've had absurd anime, but this is just like Gen Z brain rot thought of this.
That's horrible.
And yeah. And then this is funny, but it's more romance than anything for me. And same thing with Spy Family. It's not, I wouldn't say like comedy for me. It has elements of it. But Konosuba, this is, if you want a good laugh and like a good story, this is the show to watch.
Yeah, I know it's really popular. I've never, ever really watched it.
You got it.
I do enjoy comedies, so I'll check it out.
Yeah. It's hilarious. It's an isekai, and it's the only isekai I'll generally say I really like. It makes fun of every trope about being an isekai.
That's funny.
And it did it right at the beginning when they were all taking off, and it's just great. Best action.
Solo Leveling. Because that's why I watched Solo Leveling.
Yeah, I picked Solo Leveling too. I think Bleach 1000 Blood War was my runner-up for me. Dan to Dan, IG number 8, they had good action scenes, but I wouldn't say that like they were overly action for me. And then I haven't watched Demon Slayer. And Windbreaker was cool. It had some stuff, but like I just couldn't get behind what that series wanted to be.
Me neither. And I've heard good things about it. You know, after the
season
series
2 of it
completed,
just started.
Yeah. So it definitely does have something to offer. I would just have to get back into it.
Yeah. And then in here, Best Isekai, I already said it a second ago. It was Konosuba.
They have Shangri-La Frontier. That's interesting.
Yes, that was interesting to me when I saw it. I was like, that's not an isekai. That's an MMO. That's an MMO dive.
It's so interesting that it is there because I can see the connection. Like they are being transported into another world, but no one dies to get there.
Exactly. And we kind of had that talk about it when we first originally watched it. Like it feels like it wants to be an isekai, but like it's like a Sword Art Online, but Sword Art Online I would say is even more isekai than this because they get trapped in there.
I agree. They can willingly leave this world.
This is just him playing a game, which if that's the case, like that other one we watched that was an FPS of him playing a game as an isekai. That was awful. But yeah, that, and then Reincarnated as a Slime, Suicide Squad, Isekai, I still need to watch, but since I hadn't, I mean, Konosuba was going to win regardless. This is such a good, funny, like, Isekai series that everyone needs to watch. And then ReZero, I haven't watched the current season, so I didn't want to.
There was so much hype around it when this came out.
Yeah. I also feel like I need to go back and do a rewatch of this because I couldn't remember for the life of me what happened in season 2. There was just like so much, and I tried to jump in and I was just like, no, I need to go back. If anything, I would say ReZero is like the other end of the spectrum for isekais of like seriousness, and Konosuba is at the other end of just like, we're gonna fucking make fun of all this.
Sure.
But yeah. Then best drama. I don't know how Signs of Affection is up here, who chose that, but I obviously chose Oshinoko season 2. The cliffhanger reveal at the end of this, insane. Which is why I picked it over Frieren for
I'd
drama.
throw Frieren in drama.
Yeah, like it
has elements of it, but
yeah, it says their mastery of building and relieving tension sets fans on their edge of their seats. So like I can see that with like some of the plot points in it. But if we're talking about like setting tension and relieving it, Oshinoko all day is just like a heart pounder. And then I didn't watch Dead Demons Destruction. Yeah, but Signs of Affection did not do that for me. I don't know how that's on there.
Yeah.
If anything, Dangers in My Heart made me feel more than this one. If we're talking about dramas.
I really do want to see what Pluto's about, because I feel like I would pick it based on what I know so far for best drama.
Well, you know, when we do our end of the season wrap to just kind of like see where we are and what's going into it, maybe you can watch it. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah.
Best Slice of Life, Laid Back Camp, Too Many Losing Herons, Mr. Villain's Day Off, My Dear Friend Nokotan, Sounds of Euphorium 3, and Dangers in My Heart season 2. I think I picked Too Many Losing Heroines. It just felt very like true to life, like who has that like high school romance that, you know, it doesn't work out. Really good. So I picked that for it. Best main character, Frieren,
Kafka, Hibino,
Momo, Okuran, and Sun Jin-woo. I
would pick Frieren.
Don't remember who I picked from this one.
I'm going with Frieren just because of the amount of depth this character has. Like, she's thousands of years old, and it's constantly like flashing back to a point of a time in her life that really impacted her. And it was such a small point, but like, I don't know. I feel like that adds a lot to the character. And with her being an elf and like just learning more about what it even means to make connections with people, I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would give it to Frieren.
Yeah. Looking back at mine, I picked one of these. It doesn't say who I picked, but, you know, I'd probably go with Frieren for that too. I can't remember my decision making of why I picked Momo or Okuran. But yeah, then going best supporting character, we have Fern, Himmel, Jinshi, Grandma, Senshi, and Turbo Granny.
That's funny.
I went with Senshi. I just thought he was a great supporting character and like really well rounded. And when we get his like backstory, really good. But yeah, that's what picked for me. I mean, Fern and Himmel are great.
Fern,
but
kind of doesn't hit it for me. Like I don't know. Her character isn't my favorite in the show. I would probably pick Himmel just building off of what I said about Frieren. Like, he's the reason why she's making all these flashbacks and stuff.
True.
And he's not even a main part of the show, which is really interesting. I guess in a way he is, but I would pick Himmel.
Well, he's who she's trying to meet up with.
Here we are, the two winners.
And the character to protect at all cost. We obviously have Anya, Fern, Frieren, Okuran, Senshi, Hojo, and that girl
from A Sign of Affection.
I obviously picked Anya.
Of course.
Like, if we're really thinking about it, Anya is always getting into danger and must be protected. Frieren can protect herself. Yep. She's god tier. Not like no one's stopping her. Okuran, I mean, he's got powers. He's good. He's getting bashed around, but he doesn't need to be protected. Senshi lives for danger. He lives
eats
in
the danger,
character.
literally.
Exactly. He doesn't need any protection. Don't know about this guy. And then I don't care. I gave up. She lost me.
Yeah. I don't think she deserves to be up here.
Exactly. And then best anime song. This I had to go back and I had to start re-listening to them. But after listening to them, for me, it was season 2's Oshinoko. That just got my blood pumping.
I would have to go with Otonoke from Down to Dawn.
Yeah.
It's a banger.
That's a good one. Yeah, that was a good one. Bling Bang Bang Born 2 is another banger. They're all bangers, but yeah, for me, Fatal by Oshinoko was just like, whenever I hear it. Best score, Bleach, Dan to Dan, Demon Slayer, Frieren, Look Back, Soul Leveling. I think I picked Frieren because that was the only one I could really remember most of like the sounds for.
I would have to go with Solo Leveling because the score comes from Sawano Hiroyuki, who does Attack on Titan music, and I listen to Attack on Titan, like the songs from that, almost daily.
Yeah.
It's such well-crafted pieces of music, and it kind of translates into Solo Leveling sometimes. Like, I can remember songs from Solo Leveling, and if I can't from any other show, then it doesn't work. It's not memorable or it doesn't work for me. But then again, I haven't watched Look Back. I haven't watched the Demon Slayer new season or Bleach.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very hard. I feel like Bleach probably has a very good score for the production that they had in it. And then best opening sequence, Kaiju, Mashal, Oshinoko, Soul Leveling, Dan to Dan. I think I put Dan to Dan in this for visually. It was just so cool, which is through striking visuals, music, great opening. If anything, this was like a perfect set for me. But like compared to the other ones, that's what really did for me.
I agree.
Like Solo Leveling's opening visuals weren't the most like eye-catching. Best ending sequence. I had to give it up for Kaiju number 8 for me on that one. That ending was just very like stuck in your head.
I would pick
Nobody got you the way I do.
I don't know. I don't remember a lot of. I only watched 2 on here, so I can't give an answer for this one.
Yeah. No, for me it was that when that guitar chord comes in and it's like na 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 na. Then best voice artist performance Japanese. I had to go back and listen to this, but I gave it to Momo's voice actress on this because I think she like her like Garu like voice, like pushy voice is just great in the Japanese dub of it.
Sure.
The English is great too, but like for the Japanese out of all of these, that was good for me. And then best voice artist performance English.
Alex Lee, gotta give it to the guy.
Yeah, he definitely like really did it. I was torn between AJ Beckles and Alex Lee. And these, I think they both did a really good job. Like Okarun definitely, like I can matches the character in my eyes for it. But yeah, Alex Lee, he's in everything now too. He's just like blown up, and this like role too is just crazy. But yeah, I gave it to AJ Beckles on my vote. But yeah, this was a tough one.
The reason why I would pick Alex Lee is because I'm sure you've seen the behind the scenes of him recording.
Yeah,
and like
The Arise.
That, but when it's a fight scene, I forget which one, but he's like, I need to go deeper. Like he's shredding his vocal cords. And that to me is like a lot of dedication to go to that extent.
He matches, I think, the energy too of the Japanese dub voice actor. Like they both like, I think that's what when the Arise scene was showing, people were really like, I know like the whole thing on media, and then he put out those joke videos of like wakey wakey.
Correct.
But yeah, that guy shredded his voice and like ended up spewing blood for it. And I think he brought the same energy to that role for it in there. So yeah, they both.
It almost gives me like the vibes of Wolverine doing his voiceovers for Logan in the one forest scene. Yeah, like that's what I get from it.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Maybe we'll get him on sometime, or maybe we'll run into him
on the sidewalk
at a convention
outside of the Crystal Palace.
Exactly. Is that all? I think that's all of them.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was it.
Those are all the guys.
Yeah, so pretty excited to see which titles, voice actors, sound scores win. But when should we expect? May something?
It's May 25th is the awards. So we'll see what comes out of it. But those are the news. I know we got some thoughts. You got some thoughts of like some stuff.
Yeah.
So things to be excited about. We're talking, what's going on, some series to be going in. I'll let you talk about this one because I other than the name, I don't know much about it.
All right, so don't play it yet.
Okay.
So I don't know much about it either, but I'm constantly seeing clips of this show that comes from China, and it's called Supercube. I don't know anything about it other than that, and I saw this video, and this makes me want to binge it because the sequences and the fighting and the animation is so fluid and crisp. It feels like this is something you'd expect from a big budget like animation studio, like Mappa or something. As far as I know, all the animation is coming out of China. So I feel like now, because of what I mentioned earlier, like with TikTok and Instagram, all these reels and videos of these shows getting exposure. Like, have you heard of Fog Hill and the Five Elements?
No, I haven't.
It's another Chinese animation that like is gaining popularity. Okay. So because it's like getting more exposure, I feel like the gap between Japanese animation and like whether it's manhwa being adapted into an anime or Chinese works being adapted into anime, like that gap is getting smaller and it's going to be gaining more traction. So like, yeah, let's play this, and I want to hear what you think about just like this fight scene.
Okay, I've seen clips of this fight scene on Twitter,
and I feel like there's certain elements in there, like the cubes of the wall breaking.
Yeah,
that I forget his name, but there's an animator from Japan. That's his signature thing that he does. So I feel like it pulls a lot of inspiration.
So it definitely is like very well choreographed.
Right.
Yeah, I'm very curious, like, what this is about going on. If, like, do you know when it's releasing?
We don't have to watch the whole thing, but you can see that there's a lot in this. Like, it's such smooth fight sequences. The animation's beautiful. A lot of colors that pop. So I'm like, it makes me think and wonder what is holding back Chinese animation from hitting mainstream stuff. Is it marketing or like what is it that's not getting this on a bigger platform?
Yeah, I think like to kind of like give an idea to this category we're in right now, like what's like what's allowing for all of these to like take over now, like is in a sense, and to not jump around too much, but like is like, has anime peaked? Is it over? Is it like, is that's what making room for more of these ones? I mean, that looks super good. There was one that I remember seeing last year. It's airing this season, To Be Hero Next, which after doing a little more research on this, I didn't realize that this is a semi-anthology series out of Japan. There's To Be Hero, which is season 1, To Be Heroine, and then To Be Hero X, which is what I saw last year. And we even kind of talked about it, I think, in one of our episodes a little bit. But the style on this one is full CG, but I know it got a lot of headway for the way it animates. I'm going to play a clip for it in a second.
I think I've seen clips of this. It like mixes CG with 2D animation, I think.
Yeah, it's really cool. But it's by BBB and Aniplex, airing on Crunchyroll. It feels almost like a Overwatch or like a Valorant clip.
It gives me Arcane style.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like the animation on it is awesome. And again, like this is coming out of a Chinese studio.
Right.
But yeah, I think I might even do a full review on this.
It definitely just looks cool.
It looks really good. I think 5 episodes are out right now.
Really? It's on Crunchyroll right now?
Yeah. It's on Crunchyroll right now, spring season. I originally thought it was going to be a movie, but like there's the series of it.
The CG really gives me heavy Arcane vibes.
Yeah. But yeah, like all these heavy hitters coming out from like Japan, I mean from China now, like, and I think like to like go into my like thought about it before of like why is now like all these coming up. And I want to say, well, I want to pose a question to you, Chris. Mm-hmm. Are all of these, you know, other countries like Material, Webtoons, and like these Chinese comics and animes like starting to gain more popularity, more interest? Because let's be honest here, is manga cooked? Is manga over? Like
no.
Really think, I guess let me explain myself. Like really think of like the weekly chapter drops. Like what long running series do we have anymore? I mean, My Hero ended. Like most of the like what's it called? Demon Slayer ended. Black Clover comes out now like once in a blue moon chapters. Mm-hmm. Like I can't even think of like any series that's really going on long publication anymore that's in there other than One Piece, which like
you could kind of say Boruto because it's from Naruto. Like that technically is.
But that had to be like completely rewritten. If you look at it like, yeah, JJK's over. Everything just kind of like ended, and I feel like at least in the manga sphere, we're in a bubble of like who are our big hitters. We've got like remakes of stuff coming out. So there's not really any long running. I mean, Kaiju number 8 now is like on an intermittent hiatus where it's not coming out on a set schedule.
Well,
we don't have.
There's this new series that I started reading. Mm-hmm. It's called Mujina Into the Deep. You might have heard of it.
Yeah.
I think this has potential. Like, this recently just came out. It's by the same author who did Goodnight Poon Poon.
Yeah.
Style is very different. But
that's what I'm saying is like there's still stuff coming out, but look at the production value and the speed at which webtoons come out.
I hear you.
And then look at like manga, which like we have all these studios that are like just turning out animes, but there's like not really much. Like if I scroll through, I can't say anything that would be like, this is going to be on the fall docket a year from now. This is going to be the next big one. Cause like there's nothing out there with even more than like 100 chapters if I'm looking at it, or even 50 at that matter. So, and I feel like too, ones that feel like that they have a lot of potential get canceled real quick.
A lot of series get the axe, but if I can add, so this is what I'm thinking. Like, mm-hmm. As of recently, maybe go back to 2020, maybe 2018. that's when anime really started hitting like the mainstream, when people was really getting into it. Because when we were in school, like we were outcasts because we liked anime, you know?
Yeah.
So there was like
that's when the
the
streamers
great
started,
anime
like,
shift that happened.
Yep.
And I feel like because of that, like they already made the adaptations for the big anime series that are out there, and there's still a ton more that didn't get adapted, like Vagabond, like that still needs an adaptation. But because that there was this great anime shift where it's now more and more into the zeitgeist, like streamers are into it, there's a whole anime awards now, it's just out there. And I feel like this is also the reason why we are getting more works that are adapted from like Korea, like the manhwa, Solo Leveling, Tower of God. And now we're seeing a lot of Chinese animation like coming into the limelight here. So I don't think manga's cooked. I think, sure, there's a low period right now, but this is something that's never going to go away, ever.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to go away, but I think, like, to what you said of, there all these like spike in people wanting it now. It's become like very mainstream, very like people know what it is. You go and say like, what's anime? Like 10 years ago, nobody really cared or anything about that. But I think too, is that also funneling into like hurting it in a sense of like, now you have producer, like, what are they called? Like the editors who are like out there picking these, now having to, like, I'm sure have more on their plate of like, well, is Netflix going to pick up this series? Is this going to be like, be able to be adapted very well? And like, are we getting more cut and more like things that would be like, hey, yeah, like we're choosing this more to be like a series for you, for our publication to read, what's going to come out on Shoujin magazine weekly. Like, are they now like being harder on it and jumping to it because it's a bigger mindset of like, what's going to get adapted? What do we need to sell, compared to like how it was years ago? Because the demand is so high, the people wanting to get their fix of like what's next. And with that in there and the huge backlog of all these other countries having more of a, I guess, ready to go appeal to it, as opposed to like waiting for something new. I feel like that's what's adding to the bigger thing. And it's hurting the manga sphere, at least in my eyes of it, of like all these ones before, of like, we would have like even ones that were never like big, but would run for like 100 to 200 chapters, and you can go back and like, maybe they would make an announcement of in there, I feel like are getting nixed before they even have a chance now.
Sure.
And it's just like, they're trying to find the next, it's like that joke of like, the two jokes. There's this one TikTok of a guy like trying to sell his movie pitch idea, and they're like, well, if you turn it into a book first, then the studio will buy it. And it's like, but it's not a book, it's a script. And it's like, yeah, but if you sell it as a book first, then the studio's interested. It's like, yeah, most of these people are writing these not to be shipped as animes. They're just writing good stories that they want people to read. And if like a studio wants to make that into an animation reality, like, yeah, that's great. But I feel like that's not what's being produced for now. Sure. And it's kind of hurting the bottom line of this industry, especially too with like the high demand of like consumers and being like, I want what's next. And we're now jumping onto the American TV scheduling, as opposed to like, yeah, like Konosuba took 10 years before we got a season 3. And it's just like random ones that'll still come out. But now like you have ones that people are like, all right, Solo Leveling's done. When's it coming out? And they're like, yeah, we'll get it out to you like in a year or something. And it's just like rushed productions and deadlines. And I mean, look at the studios. Like, I feel like all of that is boiling down to like cooking manga, and I feel like we're missing out on like the next big greats.
Yeah, I definitely hear what you're saying. I do think it's something to keep an eye on, especially, you know, now that a lot of these shows are ending there's some on the horizon that like we obviously looked at To Be Hero X, like that obviously looks like it's going to be pretty big. But I think there's still time to have some shows come onto the stage. I do think maybe it's a slow period for maybe like newer manga titles to come out right now.
Yeah. We could probably do a whole little side thing if we want to on like a deeper dive into what's actually out there. But like even I saw an announcement recently too, like One Piece is not officially ending, but like Oda has like come out and said the ending's like written. He's getting there, and it's very, very possible in the next year or two. Like, and after One Piece ends, like
it's an end of an era.
The end of an era, and it's just kind of like, man, where are we now on like long running series? Like this is one of the last true ones. I feel
it's almost like a fresh start, though.
Kind of, yeah. But like many series just like really end really quickly. Like when we talked about My Hero 2, it ended short of, I think it was like 50 chapters of how long Naruto was. Sakamoto Days is in its final arc, and I feel like that just came out not even that long ago.
Yeah, within the past couple years.
It's just a bunch of series ending on
also,
there.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I do think not. So for One Piece, for example, it almost makes it so daunting to even want to get into it. Mm-hmm. That's what holds me back a lot. It's what holds a lot of people back. But that's not to say it's not a good piece of media. It's just there's so much. But for Sakamoto Days, for example, now that it's like it's in its final arc, that is enough for someone to like be interested, want to watch it, and then feel satisfied with an ending. Hopefully the ending's good, but I do think like having these long running shows going over years and years and years, like this happened with Attack on Titan and Demon Slayer, it's almost like, for me at least, I'm like, okay, like let's go finish the story. Even though Demon Slayer is finished, it's just like the production of the anime is taking a long time.
Yeah, I think the finding the balance has just been a lot harder over these last couple of years. I was just like, what do you do? But yeah, maybe we'll talk about the state of manga another day. But yeah, those are just some thoughts on like the growing Webtoon and Chinese adaptations, and like where the heck is all the new Japanese series really going. But let's look at the spring.
Yeah, it's a good segue. Like now that all these shows are gone, what do we do now? What's on the table?
What do we? Well, spring's been good. We're in like the third week of it. Pulling up the list of it, and we'll kind of take a little look at it in there. I don't know if you've watched anything in the spring so far.
I think the only thing that I did watch was Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I watched that fully. On Netflix, I'm seeing Moonrise a lot, and I almost started it.
I did. I saw Moonrise. It's a WIT Studio production. The same ones that did Attack on Titan. But I get kind of like a Gundam vibe from it, from what I've seen. Mm-hmm. That's a really big one. I know Lazarus. I started watching Lazarus, and that's supposed to be...
That came out this spring?
It is. Adult Swim, I think 4 episodes are out right now, 4 or 5. And we're expecting it to be like the next Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that. I watched it. I really like... I really liked a lot of the action scenes in there. It felt very Cowboy Bebop, and it has a lot of jazz elements playing in the background, which were good. I enjoyed it, but it definitely has a much different story. Mm-hmm. Like there's an actual mission they're trying to achieve compared to it being a space gunslinger.
Sure.
So I'm curious to see where the rest of it goes. But yeah, we've got returning shows. We finally got season 3 of Fire Force back in here. That's been a while since it's been out.
Right.
I don't think I finished season 2, but I'm a huge proponent of the creator with Soul Eater and his what's this called? His student that's coming out with the book I gave you for the I think I gave it to you for birthday. They have that coming out in the fall. That's supposed to be
Gachi Akuta?
Yes, that's gonna be great.
Yeah,
that's from his
right
his spiritual successor, one of his people on his team that he taught under. It's coming out there, but yeah, that's finally in here. The prequel to Soul Eater, which is great. We've got some new ones in here. Witch Watch, which the voice cast for this, I think it's
Witch Watch. I know one of the English voice actors. Her name is Lily.
Yeah, the streamer Lily.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's on there, which I didn't even know she did voice acting.
Me neither.
But I think it's her, and I think it's also what's his name? Oh, I can pull up the ones in here. So Lily Key. And if I go to the main guy, no, it's not who I thought it was. But yeah, that was a surprise. I didn't realize she was going to be in it. I saw a trailer for her voice acting in it. Yeah. Witch Watch. Interesting story. It feels like a gag manga.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm interested to see. We finally got My Hero Vigilantes. That's been there. Apparently that's been great visually. There's been some sore anime watchers about some of the visual changes, but I think from what I've seen has been really cool looking. A lot of romance, high school, the traditional things in there. A new season of Go Go Loser Rangers out on Hulu.
That's something I still need to. I need to finish the first season still.
Yeah, watching that. I'm gonna be going in. I'm gonna be, I think, this week binge watching through all the season, getting caught up and picking out some of my favorites, and maybe jump some from that. An Anne of Green Gables series, if you've ever seen that in there. I know that used to be a favorite series of my mom and aunt.
I actually never heard of it.
This was the other one that I was talking about that they're rebooting. That this is like an older one that Netflix is redoing with newer styles. I got to give that a check on there. But yeah, there's a good healthy amount on here. Nothing that I'm too familiar with.
It seems like this lineup has a lot to offer in terms of genre, different styles. So I think there's something for everyone.
It doesn't look
here.
too heavy on. Yeah, it doesn't look too heavy on the
isekai.
Yeah, on the isekai. And another season of Black Butler, which I thought that series ended a while ago. If I can change my screen, pull up Crunchyroll's season of Killing Slimes, new spring series, interesting stuff. Eyes Out. I've seen this one. Some people talking about can the series survive? So I'm curious to see how this relationship romance one goes. Some cool stuff. I'm excited. Guilty Gear based on the video game. This is, I think, supposed to be good romance.
It looks like it's from the 90s, like an adaptation.
Yes, the artist though, who the creator of the series, he has a couple other ones. They all have like this familiar style. I think it's like Mysterious Girlfriend X and another one that's from. But yeah, anything you've seen or anything that's like caught your eye? I don't know how much you've looked into this season.
No, all of these titles are brand new to me. This is the first time I'm seeing the lineup.
This one I know caught the eyes of being very problematic, and the character, the creator, he's also the guy who's done, I believe, Rent a Girlfriend. Let me see if I can pull him up here. Yes, he's done Rent a Girlfriend and a couple other one, but this is his latest series that is like, again, a romance pushing the bounds of like the norm of people, but it's an unconventional romantic comedy about, what is it? 1, 2, 3, I think 5 siblings. One of those is like a best friend, I think, but 5 siblings who are all adopted. None of them are related. All of them falling in love with each other under the same roof.
Sounds horrible.
Yeah. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out for. But yeah, another season, Windbreaker. Interesting. I feel like what's coming up is that everybody's like more excited for, despite Moon Rising, and what else was there? Lazarus and Devil May Cry. Is people are excited for like what's coming in the winter. I think there's some big things returning. If we jump to the fall and winter, the 2025 Santa Claus series.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, the Disney's Twisted Wonderland animation, which there's a trailer out for that, which is pretty crazy looking. Every Disney character turned into a anime inspired character.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, that's everything going on with it. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, a lot going on for spring still too. A lot of time before we get to fall and winter. We still have summer. I don't know if anything big's coming out for summer. Yeah, I mean, a lot of good stuff this spring, I think. This is the first time I've been excited for multiple titles in a season. Like, we have Lazarus, I forgot was coming out this season. To Be Hero X, I saw clips, but I didn't know it was also coming out this season too. And then a lot of returning seasons, like you said. Some new series, well, new to me at least. Like, what's the comedy one? Konosuba. Like, now I'm interested to look into it because it's a comedy and kind of pokes fun at the isekai genre. So I think that'd be interesting. So I have a lot to look forward to. And I really do want to start diving into like some Chinese animation. I know Supercube looks great, and the one show I mentioned, Fog Hill of the Five Elements, I've seen that years ago actually, and I've always wanted to watch it, but now it feels like a good time to actually get into it, just because there is a lot of hype around like these new animations. So
think, we'll get together at the end of the season and maybe you give us some thoughts of what you read, what you watched, what I watched, if you checked out any of those. Maybe, I guess, if anyone gets through this and wants to hear us talk about what the full state of manga is, we'll like do a little state of that, everything out, what's actually out there. Cause there are some interesting ones that are floating around. To like wrap up and go in there, I mean, I'm going to be watching through, I think I'm going to watch through everything that's out right now. Just going to binge through it. Maybe I'll stream it if you're watching it. But other than that, if I can give one recommendation of something for people to watch, a webtoon, Mahua, that I'm loving is, I think I sent one to you, which I can't remember what the name is right now off the top of my head. On the Way to Meet Mom, phenomenal, and a good laugh in his latest series, Vampire Family, the creator of the Love Duke of Hell. Why am I spacing on it? Love Advice from the Great Duke of Hell. Same creator as that. His second series, Vampire Family, just as funny and great as the first one, but I highly recommend reading those two. I actually met him at Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con.
Oh, nice.
And I got a copy of his book and everything signed from the Webtoon publication booth. Any last words? Anything you're reading you want people to read, watch?
I mean, of course, if you haven't already started watching Devil May Cry, check that out.
Mhm.
It made me want to start playing the latest game in the franchise, Devil May Cry 5. I've played Devil May Cry 4 years ago,
Mhm.
so it's really cool to be excited for this series again. I forgot how fun it is. So definitely watch Devil May Cry. I'm still reading Berserk, Vagabond, of course. I got a whole stack of stuff I'm currently reading right now. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're back. We're going to try and be, consistent with some things. It's been a minute. There's been life, but we'll see in here. And thanks for tuning back in.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.